My name is K. Veeraswamy, Senior Lecturer, Government Polytechnic, Nirmal. I am teaching third semester subject, Scheme C18. Subject name DC machines and batteries, and subject main topic DC motors, subtopic basic principle, working principle, and work different types of motors, and its applications. In the last class, we'll recap the previous class. In the last class, we have discussed working principle, back EMF, and Fleming's left-hand rule. I will give very small brief view DC machines works on a principle of Fleming's left-hand rule. It is a DC motor. First of all, DC machine can be operated as a DC motor and a DC generator. When mechanical input given to DC motor, we will get electrical output. That means it is a DC generator. When electrical input given to DC machine, generally a generator output is electrical, mechanical input. For a motor, electrical input, mechanical output, right? So the main advantage of this DC machine is it can be operated as generator or motor. Next, the DC motor mainly works on the principle of Fleming's left-hand rule. According to Fleming's left hand, the left hand pointing finger, middle finger, and thumb perpendicular to each other, such that the pointing finger in the direction of magnetic field, the middle finger in the direction of the current, along the direction of the current, and thumb shows the motion of the conductor, right? Suppose this is the magnetic field direction and this is the current direction, right? in this direction from this end to this. So the motor rotates in this fashion, right? It rotates in this fashion. That means when a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. It experiences a force. That is the main principle of motor. By using Fleming's left hand rule, we can find the direction of the motion of the conductor. Direction of the motion of the conductor in a uniform magnetic field. Right? So DC motor works on the principle of Fleming's left hand rule, or when a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. Right? Next. So we will discuss basic working principle in detail. Let us consider the North Pole. So let us consider a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. So as shown in the figure, assuming the current flowing a conductor is away from the observer, shown by the cross. You can observe the cross in the diagram. Establish the magnetic flux around the conductor. Right? Establish magnetic flux around the conductor. So the North Pole, from north to south, magnetic field flows in this fashion, and a current carrying conductor, the current flows in this fashion, right? So it shows by a cross, right? And it establishes a then how to find the direction of that magnetic field? Simply consider a current carrying conductor in your right hand, and thumb in the direction of current. So it is away from the observer, arrange the board, and remaining four fingers gives the direction of magnetic field. So you can observe the direction of the circles around the cross conductor, that is clockwise direction. Then what happens? The flux weakens the main flux on left side and strengthens on right side of the conductor, right? The flux concentrated on right side of the conductor pushes the conductor towards the left with a force F is equal to BIL Newton, right? So because the magnetic lines of force moves always in a straight line, right? Always moves in a straight line. So current carrying conductor, around the conductor there is a magnetic flux, right? So this is the main flux, right? So magnetic field moves in this fashion, right? When moving in this direction, it opposes the main flux. But in moving in downward direction, what happens? It adds, right? So this is the main flux, and armature flux moves in this fashion, right? When it is moving in this direction, it opposes. It opposes. You can observe from this side, so flux decreases. When it is moving in downward direction, right? This add to the flux, main flux. Armature flux adds to the main flux, right? So we can observe in the diagram, on one side, this side, flux adds, that is flux increases, and this side flux decreases, so it bends, flux bends around the conductor. You can observe in the second figure. So on one side flux decreases, another side flux increases. Then what happens? The increase in flux tries to move the conductor in this direction, right? You can observe this in this direction, that is an anti-clockwise direction. Why? Because of this conductor, what happened? Because of the armature flux, the main flux bends, right? But the main property of the magnetic lines is they always flows in a straight line. So that's why the magnetic lines moves the conductor in this way. It forces the conductor with B is equal to IL. After that means the current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. Right? So in this way we can understand the working principle, or in another way. The working principle of a DC motor can be understood by considering a part of a multiple polar DC motor. So it is shown in figure. When the terminals of a DC motors are connected to the DC supply source, what happens? The field magnets are excited, and developing alternate north and south poles. And second point is the armature conductors carry current. When supply is given, two things will happen. One is current passes to the field winding, the same time current passes to the armature winding, right? So in the armature winding, when current passes the field winding, produces an alternate north and south pole. You can observe a north pole and south pole, right? At the same time, the current also circulates through the armature conductors. Then you can observe a cross and dot and cross. And the north pole you can observe a cross, and the dot pole it is the south pole it is a dot. Simply current will circulate from cross to dot in this end to this end, right? So current into this you can observe, and again comes out from that winding, then you can observe a dot. This is dot and this is cross. Then we get a dot, just a representation of a current, cross and dot. So let us consider a north pole, then after that a south pole. And the north pole flux in the conductors, current carrying conductors, and the north pole, the current direction is cross, it is into the board, and the magnetic lines, this is the magnetic lines, right? And this is the current, this is current, magnetic lines and current. Thumb shows the motor direction, force direction. So this is north pole and this is current cross means into the board, right? And this shows the direction of the conductor in this way. You can observe the arrows in the diagram. You can observe arrows. So in arrows direction gives the conductor direction, right? This is the magnetic field and this is the current. So in the north pole you can observe in the north pole, so magnetic field direction and this is the current direction into the board, and this shows the direction of the motion of the conductor. Right? Suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conductors are moving in this direction. Similarly, what happens to the remaining 5 conductors on the south pole? So south pole means always the magnetic lines enters into the south, always leaves from the north and enters into the south. Right? So this is the direction of the magnetic field, and dot the direction of the right, again in the same direction. In the north pole the conductors are moving in the same direction, and the south pole conductors also moving in anti-clockwise direction. Right? Again we get a continuous torque. Then we get continuous torque, rotating torque. Right? So armature conductors on the north poles are assumed to carry current away from the observer, shown by the crosses, and those on the south poles to carry currents towards the observer, shown by the dots. By applying Fleming's left hand rule, the direction of the force on each conductor can be found and is shown by dotted arrows, small arrows on each conductor. It will be seen that each conductor experiences a force of F, which tends to rotate the armature in anti-clockwise direction. So this collectively produces a driving torque, which sets the armature rotating. Right? Next, so very important thing is the force acting on this F is equal to BIL. Right? Where F is equal to force, B is the flux density, and I is the current in an ampere, and N is the length of the conductor in meters. Right? And another important thing is when an armature of a DC motor rotates, the conductor also rotates in the magnetic field. When the armature rotates, automatically the conductor rotates. The conductor also rotates in the same magnetic field. Conductors are rotating in a magnetic field means EMF is induced in the conductors, right? And whose directions are found by Fleming's right hand rule. So the direction of the motion of the conductor or force acting on a conductor is determined by left hand, and EMF induced in a conductor when conductor is moving in a magnetic field, EMF is induced in that conductor. The direction of induced EMF can be found by using a right hand rule, right? And that induced EMF is opposite to the applied voltage, observed in the diagram, right? So because of its opposite in direction, it is referred to as a back EMF. Because of opposite to the applied voltage, it is referred to as back EMF, EB. Obviously, we have to drive IA against the opposite EMF, EF. We have to drive IA against the opposing EMF, EB. Right? So this back EMF is zero. When motor is stationary. When the rotor rotates slowly, then back EMF increases. When speed increases, again back EMF increases speed. So back EMF is directly proportional to speed. When speed is equal to 0, back EMF is equal to 0. When speed increases, back EMF increases. It's directly proportional. It is directly proportional to the speed. Next, we will discuss story topic, that is different types of DC motors and formula for back EMF for different DC motors, right? And its applications. So let us consider a DC motor or a direct current motor converts an electrical energy to mechanical energy. A direct current DC motor is fairly a simple electric motor that uses electricity as a magnetic field to produce a torque which turns the rotor and hence gives a mechanical work. So these motors are classified into mainly two types: separately excited DC motor and self-excited DC motor. Right? Separately excited DC motor means if you give separate DC supply to the field winding, that is known as separately excited DC motor. So the armature and a field winding, right? If you give separate DC supply to the field winding, that is known as separately excited DC motor, right? So what is meant by self-excited DC motor? Self-excited means the same supply, whatever the supply given to the armature, right? Some part of the current is given to its field winding, then it is known as self-excited DC motor, right? We will give DC supply to an armature, generally we will give DC supply to an armature, right? Suppose if you give separate DC supply to the field winding, armature current, you will give DC supply to the armature winding, the same winding, same DC voltage is given to field winding also, that is known as self-excited DC motor, or some part of the current given to an armature, total current is given to field winding. Some part of the total current is given to field winding, that is known as separately excited DC motor. And again there are shunt type, series type and compound motor. Shunt means if the field winding and armature windings are connected in parallel, then if you use separate DC supply given to that armature and field winding, and these two are in parallel, shunt. Parallel is nothing but shunt, then it is known as shunt motor. When the field winding and armature windings are parallel, then it is known as shunt motor. Series motor means suppose this is armature winding and this is a field winding. Armature and field windings are connected in series. That is known as a series motor. And what is meant by compound motor? Compound means both series and shunt winding will exist. Right? Generally there is a series winding or series field winding or shunt field winding. If the field is connected in parallel, that is known as shunt field winding. If the field winding is connected in series to the armature, that is known as series motor. When both the windings are series winding, series field winding, shunt field winding and armature winding, three field winding, two. Shunt motor, shunt winding is very short, that is known as short shunt compound motor. Suppose shunt winding is large, that is known as long shunt compound motor. In compound motor, two windings will exist, two field windings. One is shunt and series fields. Both shunt and series fields are connected in a compound motor, right? If the connection is in such a way that if it's a long shunt, it's connected total, the shunt winding is connected parallel to the supply, it is known as a long shunt. Suppose shunt field winding is connected only parallel to the armature, then it is known as a short shunt. Short shunt means is connected to the armature, long shunt means is connected to the supply. Field winding, shunt field winding is connected parallel to the armature, that is known as short shunt. If it is connected to the supply, parallel to the supply, that is known as long shunt motor. Next, let us consider first one, DC shunt motor. You can observe, and here, so the circle represents armature. This is armature resistance represented by RA, right? and you can observe the winding, that is the field winding. The field winding resistance is RSH, right? So you can observe the first one is the armature winding, the circle one, and the field winding. So these two are, observe this diagram, circle diagram, these two are connected in parallel, and applied voltage is V, applied voltage V, and first one is, upper one is a positive terminal, lower one is a negative terminal. We know that always current flows from positive to negative. So the current, the IL represented from positive terminal to IL, from that IL current divides into IA and ISH. That means from the total current IL, some part of the current, part of IL current is given to the shunt field winding. That's why it is known as self-excited DC motor. Self-excited, part of the total current is utilized for field winding. That's why it is known as self-excited. It is known as self-excited, right? And remaining current, so after part of the current passes through the field winding, remaining current passes through the armature IL. You can observe in the diagram, IL is the total current. In that, some portion, suppose if IL is equal to 10 amperes, 2 amperes of current passes through field winding, and 8 amperes of current passes through the armature winding, right? So this is a self-excited DC motor, and windings are connected in parallel. That's why this is a shunt motor. Shunt means parallel. Shunt means meaning is parallel. That means armature and field windings are parallel. The parallel combination of the two windings is connected across a common DC supply. The parallel combination of two windings is connected across a common DC power supply, right? Suppose if you use separate DC supply to the field winding, that is known as separately excited. And the resistance of the shunt field winding RHS is always higher than that is an armature winding. Please remember, so very very important point is the armature resistance is very less than 1 ohm, less than 1 ohm, 0.01, less than 1 ohm in points, always in points, right? But shunt field winding is near to 50 ohms, 50 to 100 ohms, in between 50 to 100. Please remember, it's a very important one for practical, for practicals, right? Armature resistance is very less, 0.01, less than 1 ohm, and resistance is 50 to 100 ohms, right? So the resistance of the shunt field winding is always higher than its armature winding, very higher, not higher, it is very higher. So this is because the number of turns of the field winding is more than that of armature winding. Number of turns of field winding is more than the number of windings of armature winding. So the cross-section area of wire used for field is smaller than that of the wires used for armature winding. Cross-section area of the wire used for field winding is smaller, cross-section is less, and cross-section is less when resistance is equal to high, right? R is equal to rho into L by A. When armature cross-section is less, resistance is 4, right? The field winding armature conductors are very less. Armature field winding conductor cross-section is very less, The cross-section area of the wire used for field winding is smaller than that of the wire used for armature winding. Armature winding is cross-section wire is more, then resistance is equal to less. Right? Let us write an equation for DC shunt motor. So very simple. The word shunt means parallel. The field coils are connected in parallel with the armature, and the field coils consist of a large number of turns, and the field coils have high resistance. Very important points. Shunt means number of turns and less cross-sectional area, so that its resistance is very high, right? So the current, total applied current is equal to IA plus IH. We know that from applied current is I, part of the current passes through the field winding, so IA plus ISH, right? So IA plus ISH. Yeah, when resistance is very high, that's why it draws very small amount of current. Most of the current passes through the armature only. Right? Next. Only suppose it's a 20 amperes of current, line current is 20 amperes, that is 1 amperes of current passes through the field winding, remaining 19 amperes passes through the armature. Why? Because the torque is always proportional to the armature current. Torque is proportional to Ia. So how to find the shunt field current? Shunt field current is given by ISH is equal to V by RSH. V by RSH. Very important formula. So they are connected in parallel. You can observe RSH and supply voltage are connected in parallel. In parallel, voltage is same. So voltage is V, resistance is RH, then current ISH is equal. So V by RSH. V by RSH. So where V is the supply voltage, RSH is the shunt field resistance, and back EMF is given by EB is equal V minus IARA. Back EMF is given by V minus IARA. So these are the equations, back EMF equation and current equations for a DC shunt motor. Next, DC series motor. DC series motor. So you know that series means series. One end is connected to other end, right? So this is armature winding and field windings are connected in parallel series. In the previous case, they are connected in parallel. So they are connected. One end is starting end is connected to another second end. Then it is seriously connected, right? So series connection in a parallel connection, voltage same. In series connection, current is same. In that case, field winding current, armature current is different, right? So IL is equal to IA plus ISH. But in this case, the total current passes through the field winding and into the same armature, right? So when applied voltage is equal to V, total current is IL. The IL current passes through the field winding, and the same current passes to the armature and returns to the negative terminal. You can observe in the diagram, right? Armature current and line current both are same. So very important point, in a series connection, the line current, field current and armature current both are same. IL is equal to ISC, series field current. ISC is nothing but series field. Armature resistance, you know that RA, and shunt field resistance is equal to RSC. Is RSC. Next, the field winding is connected in series with the armature. So very important point is field winding is connected parallel to the armature is known as DC shunt motor. If the field winding is connected in series with the armature winding is known as series motor. The current passing through the series winding is same as the armature current. So I already told that the series field current and armature current and total current, three currents are equal. Therefore, the series field winding has fewer turns of thick wire than the shunt field winding. Remember, the windings are different, shunt and series, right? Here the windings are connected, armature field winding is connected in series with the armature, right? Always the current in the armature must be very less current. The very less current, armature resistance is very less, it is less than 1 ohm. Suppose if you connected high resistance in series with that, what happens? Effective resistance increases and current passing through the winding and armature winding is decreases. When decreases stop, when compared to the shunt field resistance, right? So therefore the series field winding has fewer turns of thick wire than the shunt field winding. In case of previous case, the shunt field winding has more number of turns, right, and less cross section area. Here the series field winding has fewer turns of thick wire. Wire is thick than the shunt field winding, right? And also And the field winding will possess a low resistance than that of the armature winding. The field winding will possess a low resistance than the armature winding. Then only we get a effective resistance is decreases, then only the required current passes through the armature winding. Clear? So there is shunt motor, series motor. In a shunt motor, armature winding, field windings are connected in parallel, right? And field winding has more number of turns and high resistance. In case of a series motor, armature is connected in series with the field winding, first point, and the field winding has fewer turns, less number of turns and large cross sectional area, and its resistance is very less when compared to the armature resistance. But in case of a shunt motor, the shunt field winding is field resistance RSH is very high when compared to the armature resistance. Armature resistance is less than 1 ohm, this resistance is nearly 50 ohms, right? But in case of series field resistance is very less when compared to the armature winding, right? So we will write an equation for DC series motor. The field coils consisting of few wire used for field coils has a be fairly large to carry the armature current, and armature current IA is equal to series field current ISC and IL. Armature current is equal to series field current ISC, that is equal to IL. IL is equal to IA is equal to ISC. IA is equal to IL is equal to ISC. Right? And third one is compound motor, DC compound motor. DC compound motors are again two types. One is long shunt, other one is a short shunt. Long shunt and short shunt. Right? Again, the motors are divided into cumulative compound motor and differentially compound motor. First classification is long shunt and short shunt. Again, the long shunt compound motor may be a cumulative or differential. Short shunt compound motor may be a differential or cumulative. First, we will consider long shunt compound motor. In this, the series winding is connected in series with the armature winding, and the shunt field winding is connected in parallel with the armature connection, in parallel with the total connection, in parallel with the total connection, and in parallel to the supply. Right? The first, in long shunt compound motor, armature winding and field windings are connected in parallel. Then, to this combination, long shunt field winding is connected to this total combination. Total combination means that's why the shunt field is very large. That's why long shunt. That's why it is called long shunt. Total circuit it is connected. Our total circuit is connected to the supply, and it is connected same time it is connected to the field winding, the series field winding and armature. That's why it is a long shunt. It's known as long shunt, right? And the equation for long shunt is the compound motor. The shunt field winding is in parallel with both the armature and series winding as shown in the figure. The shunt field winding is parallel to the both armature and series field. General armature series field are in series. To this combination, shunt is connected. That's why it is kind of parallel to both the cases. That's why here ISH is equal to V by RSH. There is a common IA is equal to armature current is given by, it is equal to ISC. So why? Because armature and field series field are connected in series, therefore IA is equal to ISC. IA is equal to ISC. That is equal to IL, line current minus ISH. IL minus, when some path current passes the field winding, shunt field winding, so remaining current is IL minus, remaining current is IL minus ISH. This passes through the field winding at same time armature winding. Right? So that's why back EMF is given by EV is equal V minus IA into RA plus RSC. EB is equal V minus IA into RA plus RAC. RA plus RAC. Next, short shunt compound motor. In short shunt compound motor, the series field winding is connected in series to the short shunt compound motor. The series winding is connected in series to the parallel combination of armature and shunt winding. Right? In the previous case, armature and series field are connected in series. Right? In short shunt, armature and shunt and armatures are connected in parallel to this combination again, series field winding is connected. Very simple thing is, shunt field is connected parallel to the armature. In the previous case, shunt field is connected parallel to armature and series winding. Right? In a short shunt compound motor, the series winding is connected in series to the parallel combination of armature and shunt winding. So this is done to get good starting torque and constant speed characteristics. Right? And the equation for long short shunt compound motor is armature current is equal to IL minus ISH, and ISH is equal to V minus ISC RSC by RSH, and EB back EMF is given by V minus IARA minus ISC into RSC. Right? And what is meant by cumulative compound DC motor, differentially compound DC motor? If the two field windings, that is series and shunt, are wounded in such a way that produced by the shunt and the field produced by the series winding, both are connected in such a way that both flux add each other, flux increases, flux increases, adds. That motor is a cumulative. Flux aids add together, that is known as cumulative. Both the flux adds together in a cumulative compound DC motor. The two field windings, that is series and shunt, are wound in such a way that the flux produced by them add or assist each other. In differentially compound DC motor, if the two windings, that is series and shunt, are wound in such a way that the flux produced by them always tries to oppose each other. Suppose if this is the shunt field winding direction, this is the series field winding direction, it always opposes. That is known as differentially compound. Both add together, that is known as cumulative. Type of DC motor. And the main applications of DC motor. DC shunt motor generally used for lathe, fans, pumps, discs, and bandsaw drive and moderated torques. For a moderated torque and a constant speed, where we required constant speed and moderate torque, medium torque we required. So lathe, fans, and pumps, pump disc, and etc. Then we will use a DC shunt motor. Right? So where we require high torque or high speed, we will have DC series use DC series motor. Very important point for competitive examination. Generally DC motor used for electric traction, DC series motor is used for electric traction. And what is the DC compound motor? Where DC compound motor is used? So rolling mills and other loads require running large machinery, any torques, large momentary torque where we required. So we use DC compound motor. DC compound motor, right? So these are the applications of decision. But today we discussed a small introduction regarding working principle and the classifications and its current equations, voltage equations, and back EMF equation and applications, right? So thank you very much. Have a nice day.